So right now there's 150 plus certified consultants across like 24 countries.
In this video, you'll learn what the KonMari Consulting training program is like, how much it costs, and then what happens after you finish the course from Kristyn Ivey, who is a KonMari consultant who's gone through the program and also a professional organizer. Listen to the end to hear what it's like in a day in the life of a KonMari consultant. And if you want to become a professional organizer, make sure to grab the How to Become a Professional Organizer starter guide linked in the description below. Today we're joined by Kristyn Ivey. Welcome, Kristyn.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so tell us a bit more about what you do.
Sure. So I am a KonMari consultant. And what that means is I'm someone who helps people let go of things so they're only surrounded by the things that spark joy. And it starts at home. So it starts with objects in your home. But as you explore those objects, you get a sense of kind of where you'd like to kind of realign in other areas of your life and meet your goals in health and finance and everything. So I use tidying or decluttering as a vehicle to help people transform how they live their lives.
How did you fall into this line of work?
Well, my background is actually in engineering and interior design. So I have a degree in both of those. And I was at kind of a crossroads in my life. I had been in corporate America with the engineering degree for 13, 14 years. And I just wasn't inspired anymore by my job. So I happened to attract this book into my life, which was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And that's by the author Marie Kondo. It's now a bestseller. It's sold 10 million copies so far. And as soon as I started reading about this new way of tidying, that was really like making it an event and using it as like a self-awareness tool, self-discovery, I immediately like latched onto it. I not only like tidied my space and found out so many things about like my life through just taking a closer look at what I was surrounding myself by. But I also like realized and connected the dots that I could take these soft skills that I learned in engineering and interior design and connect them with potentially tidying. And so when I read the book, I said, if she ever creates consultants, I'm there. So at the time there wasn't a US training program, but months later, I got the email saying that they were going to open up the first couple of classes. So I got right on it and knew that like that was really what I was meant to be doing. That's my purpose and passion.
Just there's obviously a book, like you're saying, a whole big movement behind the KonMari Method. For anyone that doesn't know anything about professional organizing, what is it, and what are some of the high level key aspects?
So the KonMari Method is a Japanese-based decluttering method, and as I mentioned, it was made popular by Marie Kondo in her best-selling book, and it's all about what sparks joy for you. So the fundamentally based on this one question: does it spark joy? So it's about shifting your attention to the things you want to keep in your home, then dwelling on the things that you want to leave your home, because that can be anxiety inducing and not a comfortable feeling. So it's about shifting your attention to joy. And it's really based on gratitude, respect, honor, for me, roll into love or represent and manifest love. So that's where my company's name came from, For the Love of Tidy, because every technique in this method is all about taking a closer look at the things that you love. And it starts at home. Fundamentally, we tidy by category and not by space. So that's why it's a little bit unconventional and a little bit different than traditional ways of organizing. We confront things by taking clothing that might be in every single room in your house. We're bringing it all together. It's things from external storage units. We're taking a look at all of that in one place by category, starting with clothes, feeling the weight of the things that are in your home. Then you can change your behaviors moving forward. So it's not about tidying a little bit here, a little bit there, and be doing that forever. It's about really making it a one-time event so you can then change consumption behaviors or the things that you buy or what you like to bring into your home moving forward, and then be tidy once and for all.
So when you got this book, was it everything that you needed to learn the skills to eventually become a professional organizer in this method, or I guess what did you learn on your own?
Yeah, so executing this on my own taught me so many things, and I was able to do this independently because I always had an affinity for order, and I did recognize the value of just having a home that was organized. So I was able to read the book and then execute it all on my own. And at the time, there wasn't any consultants in the US that even existed to help me. So I took the training, and that took my understanding of KonMari to a whole nother level, because we focus on, of course, on the technique and making sure everybody understands the basic fundamentals, but also some of the client relations, the business aspects of this, and just the basic listening and communication skills that we have to operate in someone's homes and take them through this transformative process that is a lot more than shuffling things around. It can be very emotional, it can be very physical. So the training helped us prepare for those scenarios.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the training? How long was it? Can you go into a little more detail about what was involved in the curriculum?
Sure. So my training was probably 3 days. I think they're changing the format for next year. So they are going to only be 2 days now. And you have a little mixer on the night before. So you're in a room with anywhere from 60 to 100 people from all around the world. So right now there's 150 plus certified consultants across like 24 countries. So the training itself brought a lot of different people together with a lot of different perspectives. So that's another kind of intangible benefit of going to these training and furthering the education. We sat through KonMari fundamentals. So we talked a lot about the why behind, piling up the clothes, or the why behind starting with your vision first and grounding everything in that. And then we break out a little bit and have group discussions on various topics as well, and do some networking and explore whatever city. In my case, it was San Francisco that we took the training in.
What are some of the key skills that you feel like you picked up in that 2 to 3 days that maybe you weren't able to develop on your own?
Well, definitely I learned a lot just by having discussions with other people who were at the training that were coming at this from so many different directions. So there's people coming with other skills like graphic design, or lawyers, or stay-at-home moms. Like, everybody had their own unique perspective and experience. And there were some people who were even organizing the traditional way that decided to envelop their business in KonMari as well. So everyone had something to bring to the table. So that was one area that I was kind of surprised, that just the valuable conversations I had with people who were there was a learning experience in and of itself. And then I also took away some skills, just based on how to relate to clients, the particular nuances about the method that are a little different when you transition it over to American culture from Japanese culture. There's some nuances that definitely need to be explained to our clients. We worked through that kind of thing as well during the training.
Yeah, I'd say with those soft skills you're talking about, the way to relate to to your clients, and how to work with them through the problem that you're trying to solve is something that is hard to just read, right? You have to go through training like you did, and then of course go through experience. Can you talk a little about the nuances, like certain things that maybe misconceptions even that you came into the training with on how to work with clients, and then after going through the training, it kind of rewired your brain?
The method itself has a little saying like tidy quickly once and for all, or quickly over a short period of time. And for a Japanese household, that could mean a weekend, because typically the average household over there is 600 square feet, something like that. So they're still living in smaller spaces. But in American household, on average holds about 300,000 things. It's a whole nother level of tidying. And some of the cookie cutter KonMari rules, we definitely hold true to them, but some of them have to be tweaked a little bit in order to execute it in a home. So for example, if you were to bring all of your paper in your entire home and you had 3,000 square foot home, that could be quite overwhelming. And although the tidying lessons and the approach I'm teaching and the active tidying take 5 hours at a time, sometimes we need more time. And I would hate to leave my client, with this just mess of papers around, or this pile. So sometimes we'll just go by floor, and that's leaning a little bit more traditionally by location, but sometimes we just have to, because just of the scope of the project.
Hey, can you share how much a training like this can cost?
So the training was $2,000 for the 2-day course. And then in order to maintain your certification and your badge and all of that good stuff, it's a $500 annual fee moving forward. And I should mention, it's not a franchise. So we're all independent contractors as well. We have some KonMari guidelines we have to follow. And we have a contract that we sign, just saying that we recognize that. But that's about as far as we take it, and everything else is our own unique take on KonMari our own unique logo, brand, voice. It gives us a lot of great flexibility there.
Got it. So once you were done going through this training, what are some things that you're able to do? Like, what were some plans you had immediately after going through that training?
Well, immediately after going through the training, there was actually a couple other steps that had to be completed. So training is just one aspect of certification. You have to hit the ground running and get 50 practice hours in. And then after that, I had to take an exam as well. And that's, back and forth with the KonMari community. So I really wanted to be the first to be certified in Chicago. So that was my goal. So I really just, focused on that practice hours first. And then behind the scenes, I was constantly like building my website content and tweaking that, and even showing some of my clients that content and getting them to help me on, how to frame this for someone who's in their scenario. So I was just working on the kind of the administrative stuff as I built my clientele and officially was certified.
What are some of the, other than the book, of course, what are some other blogs or resources that you certainly utilize when trying to learn the method and learn to build your business?
There is another organization that specializes in supporting professional organizers, and that's called NAPO, and that's the National Association of Professional Organizers. So that's more if you want to take the traditional route. So I definitely would recommend that. They have their own programs that you can take to get trained. So that's a resource there. I also sought out an accountability partner as well. It ended up being someone I went to school with who was not in the realm of organizing, but was at the same place I was with my business. So we talk pretty regularly. I also have hired 2 business coaches as well at certain periods of time in my business, just to get like an outside opinion. And then I have the KonMari community itself has its own virtual community of consultants and trainees who are going through the program. So I lean on them, and also just virtual masterminds as well about really technical topics. I've found some virtually as well as some that I find through co-working spaces that are local to Chicago. That's like also a great way. I love to surround myself with entrepreneurs who are just doing great things, and I can lean on them like to be my mentors and to like keep me going and make sure I'm like headed in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely surrounding yourself by like-minded people that are also as passionate or as ambitious as you will certainly push you. So for the digital or online masterminds, or any particular websites or anywhere that you recommend the audience go check out if they're interested in surround themselves with ambitious entrepreneurs as well?
Actually, once my home was tidy, I was able to take a look at different areas of my life that also needed some attention and may have had some clutter in them. And one of those areas was finance. And I got heavily involved with the financial independence community. If you want to learn more about financial independence as a concept, as a philosophy, I would head over to Choose FI, or Choose Financial Independence. They have a podcast, and really they spearheaded a community, and there's other influencers as well in financial independence that have really started to change the way we think about money, change the way we think about retirement, or change the way we think about how we can set and design our lives so that we have like freedom ultimately, and redefining abundance. I've met a lot of influencers in that community that have masterminds around topics that make sense for me to focus on, like blogging. So I'm currently in a mastermind led by Fire Drill podcast, and that one's great. That's all about blogging. So we're working our way through various goals that we have about getting our blogs up and getting more traffic and all of that good stuff. I also learned a lot more about affiliate linking, and learned about that through Making Sense of Sense, another blog. And I am trying to integrate that into my own blog and the other mastermind as well. And I have also created my own mastermind called Tidy Mastermind, and that you can find that at tidymastermind.com. And that is specifically for anyone who has completed their KonMari training, who wants to really drill down and focus on the business aspect of tidying. So we don't walk through like how to fold socks the KonMari way. We talk about how to correctly set the foundation so that you have a thriving business and you're working with ideal clients and you're integrating a healthy work-life balance between KonMari and your lifestyle.
Awesome. So for someone that is full time working as an organizer, professional organizer in this KonMari method, what is the day to day like? What is like a rundown of like the types of tasks or types of things that you work through during a day?
When it's an active tidying client day, I arrive at a client's house usually either early in the morning or later in the afternoon, kind of after business hours, depending on what the client prefers. And usually there's a little bit of like nervous anxiety when I come to the door. And that's on both sides. I mean, I'm walking into a new situation myself, and the client is starting this new program, that it's exciting, but it's actually a lot of work. So it's not me going into a home and doing everything for someone. It's me working with them and teaching them an approach while we actively tidy. Then they have that approach forever. So no matter what happens in their life that causes clutter to return, maybe someone moves in or someone moves out, or there's some kind of event that causes a big flux of clutter, they can always lean on this approach. So it's really a team effort. And it gets a little bit chaotic sometimes. So we start by grounding ourselves in a discussion around the vision of what the client wants of their ideal lifestyle and ideal living environment. And we greet the house, which is unique to KonMari as well. We take a moment of mindfulness just to set our intention for the lesson. And then we start the process of taking everything out of the cabinet, closet. So if we're starting with clothing, it's just closets usually, or boxes. And we put all of that, in front of us, and take a moment to understand what that truly means. That can be a little overwhelming, but this process is intentionally meant to be a little bit more aggressive, so that you can almost healthfully shock yourself into making some changes. So that's all occurring like during the lesson. And then I help them reset to zero once they've decided what sparks joy and what's not. So there's a lot of decision making that occurs. Decision making, that mental energy is just as taxing as the process of physically moving clutter around. So I always give my clients, a lot of heads up about how to prepare for their lessons so that they can physically and mentally be prepared for what we go through. And then I leave them with, things put away. And then I come back another day and we work on another clutter category and so on.
So how often do you usually work with a client?
So every individual lesson is roughly 5 hours at a time. And so anything more than that is usually leads to burnout. So we don't usually go more than 5 hours. And then anything less than 3 hours, I'd say, we can't really get too much accomplished, or the client can't really see the impact. So I prefer to kind of go in the 3 to 5 hour range when it comes to meeting up.
Based on what you've seen in your own personal experience, and then from the people that you've met that have gone down the same path as you, what kind of person would you think, describe the type of person that would love to go down the same path of being a KonMari consultant?
Someone who has an affinity for organizing and order. They like to put things back in place. They are already innately respect their home and value the home environment. That being said, I've met many organizers, and not all of them have that gene or whatever people try to say that there is. I don't think that exists. I mean, I think Marie Kondo even did some research on that. Like, you're not born tidy or not tidy. Like, it's a skill set that you can always learn, and you can change your story accordingly. So I think anyone who just has an interest in this and tries it out on their own and really feels like, like they enjoy the process as well as the results would be great. So the book is a great place to start trying to do this independently on your own. Or anyone who has hired a consultant, that's also an option. I know a couple of my consultant peers who have clients who have worked with them. So they've trained them on the method, and then they've realized that they want to go on to be consultants themselves. So that's another option as well. But yeah, anyone who loves lifestyle services, who loves working with people, and who loves like seeing the impact of their like approach or their method and their teaching in a very tangible way. That was why I went into it. Just working as a government contractor, I would create things all the time for clients, but I just never got a feeling that it actually reached the end user it was supposed to and really made an impact. It was really hard to see that in a tangible way. So now that I am more on the entrepreneur side, I just love it.
Yeah, I guess there's no other way to see the tangible effects of your work than to go into someone's home and improve their
Right.
life in their
Right.
home. Now, what part of the profession or skill do you think that people that are on this path dislike the most? Like what part of the job do you think that people dislike the most?
There you can run into challenges for sure, like any business, and it would probably depend on your personality or affinity for certain things. I mean, like any business, there's also some like details and administration that come along with tidying. You have to, definitely keep your clients happy, give them notes and things, and follow up with their contact information, all those details, and build your own audience and communication tools around that. So that is maybe kind of the more tedious side of the business that's not as client facing. So that's something to be aware of. But there's always other options there, like maybe outsourcing that work to a virtual assistant or something like that. So there's ways of like coming back to a happy place around that. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that if you go into this business, you do like to work with people. That's kind of necessary. Sometimes you can run into some interesting situations that aren't always so joyful, but those are learning experiences as well. I've used that. I had one or two times where it just wasn't a fit for everybody. This is a very different way of approaching things, and I just carefully explain that to clients and also provide them, with some alternative solutions or other referrals that may work better for them.
And if someone out there only has 1 hour a day to devote towards learning the skill of the KonMari method, how do you recommend they spend their time?
Definitely start by digesting the materials out there that are available. I mean, we live at a great time these days. What a time to be alive. Like basically anything we want to learn is online. And there's a lot of consultants all over the world who have released, some content that is around KonMari method. I'll give you an example of my own tool. Actually, I am a co-host of the Sparkjoy podcast. So on that podcast, we talk about KonMari fundamentals, and we also discuss what it means to now live a KonMari lifestyle. So not to be so intensely focused on tidying, but to be intensely focused on the living side of this too. So that would be a great place to start for someone who is thinking about being an organizer, because if you only had an hour, you can kind of, have that playing in the background. And we go through a lot of fundamentals, and we even have a show about how to become a KonMari consultant. So that would be a great place to start.
Thanks for watching. If you want to become a professional organizer, make sure to grab the How to Become a Professional Organizer starter guide linked in the description below. And if you want to learn how to build a business as a professional organizer, make sure to watch the next video linked in the series over here. And we'll also include information in there about how much professional organizers get paid.